Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting interview here at Upcomers. My name is Taryn Ray Smith. As always, you can call me Taryn, and I'm joined today by the lovely Kamari, whom I'm just had the pleasure of meeting. First off, we're really excited to have you here today. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. Our community is excited to get to know more about you. Could you just start off by telling our community a little bit more about yourself, like who you are, where you're from, your general background in life, and then also your background in trading?
Okay, so as you said, I'm Kamari. I am from the United States. I actually went to my high school was a trade school. So I work in machining, actually. So I'm 25 now, and I chose trading because machining is cool. Like, don't get me wrong, but obviously the money's not the same as trading. And machining is it's a lot of brain work, but it's also labor. It can be labor intensive.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find something that would allow me to make money without having to do as much work. So I stumbled upon trading right like after I graduated, around the time I graduated, there was one of my friends in school. She was a part of those like affiliate trading programs
Yeah.
where you sign people up under you and then you trade. So I didn't sign up with that because I was like, that's a lot of money and there's a
Yeah.
lot of free info. But that's how I started like my mentorship journey
Very
of
cool.
learning how to trade.
I really respect what you said. I learned that, like, physical labor, I mean, like my father was just saying to me yesterday, it burns the candle, right? Like you only
Yeah.
have so much you can physically do in your life. So being able to find ways that you can make money that don't take a toll on your body is so important. When I was a trainer, like I went through that a personal trainer. I'm still certified, but I don't work in a gym anymore, and it's for that reason. Yeah, finding other ways is definitely an interesting path to take. And when I'm interviewing people, a lot of times they learn about trading initially from a friend of theirs. So it's cool to hear that that happened with you as well. Tell us a little bit more about like the beginning of your trading journey. You learned about it from a friend. How did you kind of start getting involved in it? Were you trading solo at first? If so, were you trading solo for a number of years before you went into a prop firm? And if you do mention any other prop firms you've worked with, just don't use their name, please.
Okay. Okay. So I did start trading solo. Everybody kind of told me like, that's kind of risky. Well, nobody that I know personally in my life was exposed to trading. So it was kind of just like a shot in the dark to them. Like there was no real support. I say probably for like a good 3 years, it was just me trading and I was kind of keeping it on the down low because every time I told somebody, they were kind of like, you shouldn't do that. Like do this instead. So probably up until the better portion of 2022, like a lot of my trading it was just me in the charts. Like that's all I had. And then I had one of my good friends. I've known him since middle school. I ended up telling him that he should learn how to do it because we kind of think the same way. So he was probably one of the first people that we were, going back and forth, sending screenshots to charts, going over different strategies, following different trading content creators, just trying to figure it out. But for, I would say, so like 7 years I've been trading.
Wow.
So for a good 3 years of those, it was just me.
And so, okay, we'll get into more about how you got into prop trading firms, but before I do that, I always like to talk to people about like why they like trading. What do you enjoy most about it? Like the freedom, the flexibility, the risk versus reward setup. What really gets you going, gets you passionate when it comes to trading?
The number one thing for trading will probably have to be the fact that it's not controlled by anything else. Like you can have a good or bad day based upon how your coworkers are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the type of environment that's set. When you're on the charts, it's literally you versus you. The chart is going to be the same day in and day out. So once you like, as you have your rules, as you're setting your rules, your strategies, your things that you're looking for, those patterns are going to repeat consistently. So I feel like trading helped me get to know myself better because it was just so consistent. So then it just started to act as kind of like a mirror. It's like all of the challenges that I didn't pass, or maybe I would go through the first phase, I'd win the first phase and I get to the second phase, and then I would start over leveraging or I would stop following my rules. Those type of things, like, yeah, they were hard
Mhm.
psychologically, but it was also kind of like a reflection, getting able to look at myself and get those flaws out of the way. And I don't feel like any other venture in my life would have exposed me to those psychological battles that trading did.
Oh, so well said. I often talk to interviewees about the psychology behind trading, but you just so eloquently put it that like it teaches you important things that you need to know about yourself. And also, I completely agree with you on the you versus you thing. And that's really where you make the most progress in your life when you realize like only person you're in the competition with is yourself and learning how to best compete with yourself. So I know you spent a number of years solo trading. And then at some point you segued into prop trading. What year did you get into prop trading? And then we'll get into kind of your experience with us at Upcomers.
So 2023, that was my first real year like where I dedicated a good amount of my trading capital because up until that point I was just live trading with, let's just call them shady brokers. I was live trading. So it's like every time I get paid, and I was getting paid weekly. So every time I get paid, there was a set portion of money that was going into my live account and I was trying to trade it, trying to figure out, okay, how can I flip this $100 to $200? 2023, I feel like prop firms had been around a little bit, but
Yeah.
I feel like they started to really ramp up around that time. And so I started looking into them because I obviously didn't spend all of my trading career being profitable. So, taking that money out of my paychecks, you're losing it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with my wife, and I was like, I've probably lost around 75 grand worth of money before I started making a return on my investment.
Mhm.
So the prop firms were kind of like, okay, well, I can risk a little bit
Right.
less and still have that same opportunity to get a return on my investment
Yeah.
because live trading it wasn't working. And one of the things that I feel like with live trading is even though you still have the same exposure to the market, you're not making as much money as you can with prop firms. So if I were to take that $100 and turn it into $400, right? That same $300 gain, I can make 10 times that with prop firms. So especially once you start to see other people, it's like, okay, these people are getting verified payouts from these prop firms. They're taking the same trades I'm taking. They're spending the same amount of time. I started going back into that cycle of unprofitability
Mhm.
because I was over leveraging on the live accounts because there's not enough equity for you to make as much money as you can in the prop firm setting. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as your experience with us at Upcomers, like
Mhm.
how would you describe it so far and how long have you been with us specifically?
So I started with Upcomers, where are we? July. Not that long, actually. Surprisingly, it's been about, I'd say like no longer than 3 months. I've
Okay.
been with Upcomers. Upcomers stood out to me because they were really the first. Well, you guys were really the first prop firm to offer that instant funding at such an affordable price. Because there are a couple other prop firms that offer it, but it's thousands of dollars
Mhm.
to get the size account that's going to make a decent amount of money,
Right.
something that's worth your time.
Yeah.
So I had previously went through a challenge phase.
Hmm.
I passed the challenge phase. I got verified, and I was on live trading with another prop, and I ended up losing that account. So I was at a crossroads. I was like, what do I want to do? Do I want to take the money that I've made thus far, and do I just want to go back to live trading, or do I want to give another prop firm a chance? And I knew for sure I didn't want to go through the same challenge phase cycle. So that's how I ended up with Upcomers. I saw Upcomers on Instagram, I believe, and I saw that they were running the spring 90 sale, which I think is still going. But essentially it's 90% off and you get the buy one get one. So I was like, I might as well try it because this is a fifth of what I've spent on previous challenges, right? Like normally on a 100K challenge, I'll spend anywhere from $500 to $700. With Upcomers, you can get live account without having to do the challenge phases for $200. So it's like it's kind of a no-brainer if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you have your strategy set, you kind of have a lock on your psychology, I will personally recommend it
Well,
because
thanks. That was going to
I
be
feel
my last question at the end.
okay.
We'll circle back to that. I appreciate that. So, like, I know this is really helpful. Thank you for all this information.
Yeah.
And different trading firms, as you've kind of mentioned, have different trading rules. How do you feel about the rules at Upcomers? Have they been helpful for you as a trader?
So how can I put this? When I blew my first account with Upcomers, it was a 50K. So I had gotten two payouts, and on the first payout, I went back and I got a 50K because I didn't read through the fine print for what you needed to do, like what kind of account you needed to purchase
Okay.
to get the buy one get one. So I was like, whatever, I got the payout from the 100K. I'll just buy another 50K. That way, I can take the same trades on both and still inch up my profits.
Right.
When I lost the 50K, I looked back at the rules because unlike other prop firms, I feel like Upcomers gave me a pretty detailed explanation
Mhm.
of the reason that the account was breached.
Right.
And obviously, nobody likes to lose a funded account.
Of course.
To answer your question, I feel like the rules, it kind of made me more confident in my strategy because I don't have to change my strategy at all. And I still feel like it's very attainable to follow the rules that were set out. And the way that it was explained in the email was very clear. They showed me the positions that caused the breach. So it wasn't the same kind of deflating event to my psychology. Like,
Okay.
I'm going to have to get another account, obviously, but it's doable. It's not like it's this out of reach goal.
Yeah, it's not like you got shut down or anything, which can happen on certain platforms. If it's
Right.
easy to explain, if it's like too long to explain, then don't worry, we'll just move on to the next question. But I always like to go over this because I know our community members watch this and we want to
Mhm.
help people learn as many rules as quickly as possible. And I know it's a lot to read through. Can you explain, like, briefly what rule or breach happened that caused that to close? What rule did you learn to pay attention to from that?
Okay, so part of my strategy is I like to set my stop losses in places that invalidate my bias,
Okay.
right? So let's say I'm buying or I have a bullish bias for the day. That first trade that I take, where my stop loss is, if that stop loss gets triggered, it's in my plans to look for an opposing setup, right? So if that buy position loses, then I'll look for a sell. If there's
Okay.
no viable sell, like there has to be an entry and there has to be a logical price target for me to reach for. As long as those two things line up, what I'll do is I'll take a slightly larger position in the opposite direction, targeting that opposing liquidity. So I didn't know there was a name for that. It's called martingale, I believe, is what it's called. So they essentially said I took a certain size position and then I doubled it and traded in the different direction to make back what I lost and profit.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I said it was my fault because I didn't know that that was a prohibited trading strategy. Even though that's what I normally do, and that's kind of how I ensure that I don't have a losing day.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I get the general concept because it kind of seems inconsistent. And the same way I'm getting to know Upcomers as a prop firm, Upcomers is getting to know me as a trader.
Yeah.
So it's only fair that if they see me doing something that they explicitly prohibit, that I get penalized for it. It's not really their fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you touched on a really important point. I think to simplify it for those who are just joining, for those who have just begun, pay attention to your limits on trades for the day, basically. Yeah. And that's again, that's like a really common thing to happen. So I appreciate you sharing that. I'm sure our community does too. Speaking of, so tell us a little bit about like how you trade. If you do commodity or something else, you said like stop losses. Is that like always your strategy that you use?
Yeah. So I've been really heavy into futures. I was doing
Okay.
forex before, but it's just the liquidity that futures has been having, like really for the past couple years, it's been too easy. Like instead of having to trade for hours, I'm literally in and out of the market 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm done for the day. So it's kind of streamlined that way. I do market orders. Market orders, I usually target about 50 points. I've been doing 50 points because it's summertime. So summertime, the market is a little bit more, what's the word I could use? Like jerky.
Yeah.
So it has larger pullbacks. And I don't really like to see once I go up a certain amount of profit, I kind of like to either go break even or take that profit off the table. But I do market orders and I use take profits and stop losses.
Excellent. So, when it comes to risk management, obviously it's really important. We've gotten into some of the psychology behind it. How would you say that you manage your risk and how has that changed since you've started working with upcomers?
So to be completely honest, my risk management was probably like my biggest downfall with trading, just because up until me trading with upcomers, I never had to worry about a consistency rule. I usually always steered clear of prop firms that had a consistency requirement, but I feel like the consistency requirement actually helped me. It makes it easier to calculate my risk. So now with the 100K account, all I do, the current one I have only has 5 minimum winning days. So, and per account size, you have a certain amount of money you have to make for it to be considered a winning day.
Yep.
It made it easier for me because now I know all I have to do is make my $500 for the day and I'm done. So normally I'll risk 1 to 1. And once we take out a significant low or a significant high on the 1 minute time frame, I go break even and I just wait for my
Yeah.
trade to hit, take profit. But I'm not just holding the trade, just waiting to see how long it runs. It's like
Yeah.
now every day consistently, I go for my 50 points, get
Hmm.
my $500, and then I'm done.
Yes, that's a good strategy too. It's again, it's that psychology too, because like, and I'm not saying you're greedy at all. I'm just saying I talk to people every day. I interview, and that's the term that people use to self-describe. And I'll
Yeah,
say I get greedy. Everybody has it's like trading should not be like going to the casino. It
right.
shouldn't be like gambling. And so I do think that that is one great theme that we see again and again when I'm interviewing here people at Upcomers is like they learn how to control the like instant gratification part of their brain, which
Hmm.
can it takes longer to do things sometimes, but if you end up with, like you said, more ROI, more profitability, and a better understanding of your own psychology. Is there anything that you would like to share as advice for traders who might be struggling to win or succeed in the prop trading industry?
I think the biggest thing is don't worry about the money. Like, and it's hard to say because I don't feel like anybody gets into trading for any other reason
Mhm.
aside from making money. But I promise, as soon as you like put the money outside of your mind, even if you just think of the chart in terms, use the units of measure for whatever you're trading, whether it's commodities, stocks, futures, Forex, use the points, use the pips, use the ticks. Don't think of it as the money because once you take the money out of the equation, it's like something in your brain, the logic turns back on. Like you referred to the casino, right? So once you make money that first time gambling, once you take that first risk, you're like, okay, well, I did it once, I could do it again. If you take the money out of your strategy, what if you take the money out of when you're deciding to target certain patterns in the chart. If you actually look at the chart for what it is, your strategy will follow. So if you look at it as this is structure that I consistently see when I backtest, when I'm looking at trades that I win, when I'm looking at trades that I lose, these are the type of patterns that consistently form when I win trades. These are the type of patterns that consistently form when I lose trades. Regardless of how much money you make or how much money you lose, recognizing those patterns is the only key that you need to make the money because we have prop firms. I don't know how long we're going to have prop firms. Hopefully we have prop firms for the rest of forever. But if we don't,
Hopefully.
as long as you know what you're looking for and it's consistently repeatable, even if it's 2 or 3 times a week,
Yes.
some people feel like you have to trade every day. You don't have to trade every day. If you can find a setup twice a week, you're going to make all the money that you want to make. It's just going to come down to get your 2 setups and be done. Find your consistent, repeatable patterns and be done. And I think greed is going to be that biggest hindrance. Don't let people trying to prove people wrong, trying to prove all those people who told you that trading wasn't going to be a good idea or that you were never going to make it. Just you got to learn to put all of that out of your mind.
Tune it
Because,
out.
yeah, those are the type of things that are going to cause you to make emotional decisions and just start gambling.
Yes, rationality over emotionality. And I totally agree with what you said about separating money away from it because it helps you actually focus and follow what you're supposed to do. Two final quick questions here. One, and you can answer this, and if you don't want to, we'll just skip it. I ask everyone, how much have you been paid out from Upcomers so far, if you're comfortable sharing?
So up until this point, I think I'm at just shy of 2,500
Not
from
bad.
upcomers.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
And then finally, earlier you said you would recommend trading with Upcomers without even being prompted here, people. You saw it here first. Why? Why would you recommend trading with us?
Your FAQ section, I think that's stood out to me the most. So when you go to a lot of prop firms websites, they will have answers to specific questions, but it's not as organized as I feel like Upcomers is. Upcomers will answer all of your questions for a specific account size and type, as well as like your payout structure. At first, I wasn't really too excited about the payout structure, but I think it's a good system for cultivating consistently profitable traders because your payout system, it doesn't reward full porting,
Right.
and you still have to make that minimum amount of money regardless of what payout level you're at. And so it kind of forces you to learn how to consistently make the money. And as you prove it, what I think is after the eighth payout, you get unlimited profits. But I think that really stood out to me because there's a lot of times I will go with prop firms and I just be like, I'll worry about the rules later. Let me just worry about passing the
Yeah.
challenge and getting to a live and trying to get a payout. But I think Upcomers really caused me to slow down and I feel like a more knowledgeable prop firm trader.
Well, thank you so much for your insights today, Kamari. Truly an exemplary interview, and I'm sure our community will find it useful, and we just super appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.